How you doing?
I'm set. Hey, Sally, how is it going?
Going as well as it could be. The day is just getting started here, so
I
that's
guess
pretty
huge
good.
time difference. Sally is in California right now. Or are
Correct.
you in Denver? No, in California, right?
I'm in
Yeah.
California, yeah, just through the isolation. Sometimes those things are better to cope with together, so
For
I'm
sure.
staying with my boyfriend.
Nice. So Sally is born and raised in Australia, moved to work in
Correct.
Colorado, and now lives in California.
Well, I
That's
live in Colorado, but I visit California a lot.
Well, for everybody, I actually have never met Sally in person, which was kind of strange. We were supposed to meet in Norway a few weeks
Yeah.
ago or a month ago, but then because of COVID lockdown, we had to leave the country. We were there for a work trip and
Hmm.
talked to Sally because we worked together for the US Paralympic ski and snowboard team. And
Yep.
Sally's a nutritionist. What is your background, Sally?
So my background as a sports dietitian, I did my undergrad in nutrition, my master's in dietetics, both in Queensland, Australia, and then I further accredited in like sports specific practice. And I've been working as a sports dietitian now for 6 years. My background is across three different settings, so pretty multifaceted. I was in private practice and a quite busy private practice for 5.5 of those years. And I was the sports dietitian for an elite rugby team back in Brisbane, as well as kind of guest lecturing and tutoring at a university there. So kind of have seen all different facets before I started with US Paralympics just over a year ago now, as a dietitian or sports dietitian serving all of their teams and some specific teams.
Very nice. How many teams do you cover now?
I cover 6 sports as under my profile, and that spans across both summer and winter sports. And then we will do some big kind of like US Paralympics initiatives where the reach is a lot further than just the athletes that I might work directly with. So there's some big projects under the works because US Paralympics is kind of just in its like infancy in a way where there's so much that we can do and so much to progress Paralympic sport forward. That's an exciting time to kind of be involved.
For sure. And I mean, what I ask my guests is how they are affected with the current COVID time. But I think it
Mm,
affected you and your athletes big time, as you also have not just
yeah,
Winter Olympics, but Summer Olympics. So you won't go to Tokyo this
yeah,
summer.
yeah. I mean, we're talking about our trip to Norway, and I think I was in transit more than I was on the ground in Norway. So winter season was cut abruptly short, but returning back to the US, summer got basically upended. So yeah, a very busy year in 2021, given it'll be qualifiers not only for the Paralympic Games, but also the Paralympic Winter Games. So we'll have 2 Paralympic Games within 6 months of each other, which is
It's
very
crazy.
unprecedented. And for some of our athletes who compete across both summer and winter sports, we have 3 multi-sport athletes. It's going to be a big year for them. So some big challenges, mentally, physically, disrupting preparation, all that sort of stuff. But we're doing our best, and our athletes are pretty damn resilient. So that
That's
helps.
amazing. Yeah. So basically, are you used to work remote, or is it hitting you now even harder as everybody, I guess? Or is it okay for you because you do it a lot of times anyways?
Yeah, it's 50-50 in that way. My role is really dynamic and it changes like day to day, week to week anyway. So if I'm not traveling with teams, which would happen maybe like once a month, like I'd either travel to them or they'd travel to us. So we do have a lot of remote athletes, but we also have resident athletes as well who have been disrupted. So it's hard when you're not working closely with
Yeah.
athletes like who you'd see multiple times a week just in passing. So trying to keep those relationships and lines of communication up so that they're getting the same level of support or increased support if that's what they need at the moment. But for the remote athletes, it's kind of status quo. If anything, it probably breeds more opportunity to touch base with them at the moment. So I'm lucky that my role does not necessarily have to be hands-on bodies in a way. We can do a lot of stuff by Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, Blue Jeans, whatever platform. There's always multiple. So we can do stuff like that. But I think some of the team sport athletes are being hit pretty hard at the moment.
Yeah. And do the athletes find it hard at the moment? Or do they see it as an opportunity to say, hey, I can cook more, I can prep more of my food for the training?
It's a mixed bag, to be honest. I think most of them are, because they don't know necessarily when the next competition is going to be. A lot of them are just going back to base mode training and going, what can we do? We have to stay engaged. The games are still coming, So I'd say the majority of the athletes have reacted positively to it. Obviously, each of them have their own hurdles. It's very difficult for a swimmer right now. They're just doing all dry land training and no looking at a black line in a 50-meter pool. But I think most of them are trying to be creative, or at least the people on the team that work with them are trying to spark that innovation and creativity. Yeah. And likewise, our athletes are doing it for each other too. So I'm not saying that it's all sunshine and roses, because we all have our up days and down days, but I think the fact that they're working towards an eventual goal is helping many stay motivated, despite training restrictions and access to facility, because that's the hardest thing with Paralympics is like there's some wheelchair athletes who can't necessarily train the way they would without support. So it's sparking a lot of creativity, that's for sure.
I guess all over, for sure. Hey, and because you don't see private clients at the moment, but in this time, do you also have more people or friends or family reaching out to just say help? Because I hear it, a lot of people, they say we struggle with food, being home all the time and just wanting to snack or not eating at all, not having a rhythm. Do you hear a lot of people reaching out to you, or would you have a few tips of like what's the best thing to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's come from everybody. Even our athletes are like, hey, we've got time on our hands, what can we do? Or people back home, old clients that I have, who I still kind of engage with via social media, because when people are your clients and you work with them for a long time, there's a relationship there. So you always want to see people doing well regardless of where they are in their world or where they are in their journey, etc. So I think a lot of people are going, it's difficult to keep structure and a routine when what my state of normal has been thrown out the window. So it's creating ways to be a bit innovative or playing with food in a way, but within a designated playground. Because I think now people are like, oh, I have time to bake, so I'll just like make all these desserts. And then because they're stressed out, they might then be like going back to the cookie jar multiple times in the day. So it's more of like having that plan of thinking about what kind of nutrition you'd like to structure, and how much of each of these foods you would either want or need in a day, and then reverse engineering and playing within that designated framework or playground, so that at least you know that the fun that you're having in the kitchen isn't necessarily impeding goals that you have for yourself overall. And that's kind of the message that we're trying to spread as best we can, is we never want to dissuade anybody out of the kitchen, but we'll always kind of inspire people to push more a little bit towards making things that are healthful, or trying a new recipe that they would have never had the opportunity to before.
Yeah, I
that
guess
sort of
we
stuff
see
is
that a
kind of
bit with
popular.
exercises, that people think like I have more time on my hands or I want to try something new, but also keeping it realistic, I would say, at least from our point of view, to not just think like, okay, I can do a handstand in 3 weeks just because I see it on Instagram everywhere. So I
Yeah,
guess
or I
keeping
can
it
run every
realistic.
single day.
Keeping
I
it
don't think I've ever
realistic.
seen so many people run.
Yeah. Well, and that's also like, I guess people try to find a way through, right? And it's like with exercise, with working, with food, with everything. So yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, that was, I mean, it was great catching up with you, Sally, and it was great chatting you very quickly about it, because it's nice to hear everybody's opinion and seeing how they handle this time. So
Yeah.
it was
And I
great.
would be saying a lot of people just, if you're struggling, it's okay to reach out
Yeah.
to the people around you, help to provide some structure and some framework in your day, and kind of push you to be doing the behaviors and habits that are overall health promotive and get you to a good place, as opposed to the ones who maybe encourage the instant gratification. So I think it's a good time to reach out to the people who kind of help to get you closer to your goals rather than kind of distracting you further away from them at this time.
Yeah, and I guess that's also what we talked before, right? I mean, you should have goals and also seek for help for somebody, because it's such a complex topic, food and nutrition. So don't necessarily take it all on yourself and reach out to people. So I guess that is the message for a lot of healthcare workers at the moment, or in any field.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you for your time, Sally.
No problem.
Thank you, and hope to see you
to
soon
you.
in real life.
Yeah, I hope to meet you in person soon.
Well, it's an online world now, so.
Right. At least I get to see you virtually.
Exactly. Thank you.
No problem.